everyone, Kristina here. Welcome to another video for SimonsStamp.com. Today's card uses the dog and cat dress-up stamp set. This came out a while ago. This is one that I love that I created. It has these two animals. Let me pull this out so you can see it so the dies aren't in the way. There's two cute little animals, a cat and a dog, and you can use all of these pieces on both of the animals. So today I thought I would do the pair of them, the dog and the cat, and dress them up a little bit for an Easter card. So here we go. I have my MISTI stamp positioning tool here, as well as some watercolor paper. this is Canson XL watercolor paper, and I'm going to stamp these images in VersaFine ONYX black ink. But first I need to get them positioned on the watercolor paper. I will be die cutting these out, so they do need to be just a little bit spaced a little bit apart so that I can die cut them all at once. Like I said before, I'll be stamping these in some VersaFine ONYX black ink, and I'll be able to stamp these twice if I need to. Sometimes you don't get a really good impression on watercolor paper, but it really just depends on what ink you use, as well as how textured the paper is. So I'm going to stamp this a second time, and that should probably be the perfect amount for these images. I'm going to be using some distress inks for all of my watercolor today, and I will be squishing the ink pads down onto this palette from Art Impressions. Starting out with Hickory Smoke. I'm going to paint the cat first and then move on to the dog. So the cat's going to be gray like my two cats, Sophie and Daphne, so I'm using Hickory Smoke and Black Soot. I'm also going to grab a little bit of worn lipstick so that I can paint the cat's nose and ears and give it a little bit of a blush. While the paint is a little bit wet there, I'm going to bring in just a little bit of this worn lipstick shade right where the kitty will be blushing. And I'm just going to let that color wick away. Adding a little bit of that worn lipstick up here at the top. All right, the first layer of the cat is basically done. I'm going to come back and add some stripes later. For the dog, I'm going to be using some Vintage Photo, also using some ground espresso. While it's still wet, just like with the cat, I'm going to bring in some of that pink. All right, while those are drying, I'm going to work on these down here. I'm going to be using Festive Berries on the bunny ears because I want a little bit more intense color. I'm going to use Shaded Lilac on the bow tie. And I'm also going to have some broken china in there and scattered straw. Just wanted like a nice variety of colors for their outfits. I'm going to go ahead and finish these little outfit pieces while I can. I'm going to add some little stripes onto the skirt. I'll bring this pink color to the underlayer of the skirt as well. For the bow tie, I'm going to take that shaded lilac color and I'm going to add some polka dots. So now I'm going to do the second layer on the cat and dog. And I think that's all I'm going to paint. I want to keep these pretty simple and pale since this is kind of a pastel color palette. I'm using the coordinating dies to cut these out. So I'm just getting them lined up just right and taping them in place. All right, and I'm going to assemble these now so that they're ready to go. Got my cute little Easter bunny cat and dog. I'm using some Tsukineko Connect glue. And I'm just putting some little squiggles of glue on the back. And for this one, I'm only going to put glue right on the band so that just right down on the bottom edge. When I glue it on the card, I'll be putting some foam adhesive behind it, behind the ears, and that will help keep it all together. Okay, so the bunny cat and the dog will be kind of centered on the card like this, with the Happy Easter above the dog. So I want to have my pattern mainly going behind the animals. I'm using the large dot stencil from Simon's Stamp, and I'm going to do 2-layer blending, and I want these dots to stay in the same spot and also not block the edges. So I'm going to tape it together. All right, and the colors I'm using today are reminiscent of what I was using before. And I'm going to start with Festive Berries, and I want this to be rather faint, so I'm going to kind of blend off to the side and then come in and do blending. And I want it to stay very pastel, so I'm not going to do very much blending at all. Let's see, I don't want to see this. Well, yeah, I do want to see this preserves. Just a little bit of that color. Then blending right here. In fact, I think I want a little more color down right here. Going to use Broken China. I'll switch blending brushes to a more teal blue shade. All right, and then to bridge that gap between the Festive Berries and the Broken China, I'll be using Scattered Straw. By the way, I'm using blender brushes from Honeybee. Okay, now that I've got the dots on there, I'm going to go ahead and peel up the stencil. And I'm going to do just whatever is remaining on the brush. I'm going to have it just add a little color outside those circle areas. In fact, maybe I want a little more on the blender brush than that. And I'm going to go over those same areas with the blending. And finishing off with Festive Berries. So now we have our cute little animals with their background. So I'm going to stamp my greeting. I'm using my MISTI once again, and I'm just going to place these on here temporarily to get them just right. And then I can place my Happy Easter greeting, which is going to go right above the dog right there. All right, I'll remove these little guys and come in with VersaFine Onyx Black ink once again. trimming this down just a tiny bit, and then scoring my card base at 5.5 to create a side folding card. Placing the ink blended background on the front of the card, just on some foam adhesive, and then I'm adding a foam adhesive to the back of my animals. So there is my Easter card using the dog and cat dress up stamp set. All of the supplies for this card are available over at simonsystamp.com. Thanks so much for watching today. I will be back with another video very soon.